Across your watercolor learning journey, you might have come across some advice or a belief that is you shouldn't use white paint in watercolor. But then maybe you've bought a set of watercolor and there's literally been white paint in there. So why exist if cannot use? If not friend, why friend shaped? So this belief about not using white in watercolor, it extends to not using black in watercolor as well. And we'll talk about that in another video, but let's cover white. So the general belief and sentiment here is that because watercolor is a transparent medium and we can see through the layers and we can glaze, we should be allowing the luminosity and the white of the paper to shine through instead. So this can be achieved by using light layers, lifting color off in certain areas, or masking. So using a masking fluid or a masking tape to preserve the white of the paper underneath, or negatively painting around it. So negative painting is not when you're like pissed off when you're painting, it's when you paint around the white of the paper. Now these things all sound well and good in theory, but have you tried them? I'm a wildlife watercolor artist and I like using white highlights for really tiny things like the highlights on eyes or noses, whiskers, and planning that out at the start of a painting I find really difficult. I find that even if I'm following a sketch really closely, there's just adjustments that need to be made, and if I've locked those highlights in, I feel like I'm trapped and things are going to go wonky. So I personally much prefer painting them on at the end. Now let's just go back to why this whole belief came about. Besides the transparent medium part of things, let's say you went ahead and used white gouache for highlights in your work because watercolor is transparent. It's not probably going to cover up the things that you need it to. So you go to the next stage and you get some white gouache, which is basically watercolor with chalk in it. That is strong enough to cover up what you need. And then you go, oh, I want to submit this into some watercolor gallery, competition, exhibition. But what you've actually done is create a mixed media piece. You've used more than watercolor, you used gouache in there as well, so it wouldn't just qualify as watercolor work. Now, if that is of no interest or bother to you, same. I just mention it in case that's something that might interest you, because that is really the only reason I can see to fully avoid using white. Otherwise, it really truly can be quite convenient. Some other reasons that people might want to avoid using it is it will add some opacity to your work, and some people just really want it to look more transparent. It can also muddy things up a little bit, dull down colors, or if you've got some special effects paints like granulation, because of that white in there, it might just thicken things up a little bit and take away that special quality. But I think anything in moderation is fine. Use it sparingly and it can be amazing. Now let me just touch back on the white gouache watercolor not being strong enough point. So being a transparent medium, that just means that really none of the colors are totally opaque in watercolor, and especially with white, generally when you want to create a highlight on something, you actually need whatever you're painting it on top of to be quite dark in the first place, otherwise you're not going to see it. So think of eyes, for example. They generally need to be a little bit dark, particularly, under the top eyelid, for you to then be able to place some kind of highlight there that will be visible. So it needs to be strong enough, opaque enough to cover that up. And generally people just don't find that white watercolor is strong enough to do that. So they tend to go towards something like gouache. You can also use whatever you want. Acrylic markers, gel pens, anything that's white and bright enough will do the trick. But again, mixed media piece. Let me show you a few things now just to kind of demonstrate, explain, and give you options if you do or don't want to use the white of the paper in your portraits. So this was a little experiment I did a few years ago in my online school, Paint Wild, where we were trying to find the best way to achieve white in our portraits. So we started off here by negative painting, so painting around an object, which obviously is going to leave it nice and white because the white of the paper gets to shine through. Then we tried lifting, both on something that was still wet and then from something that had fully dried. We've got tape here, so similar to masking fluid, and negative painting, you're basically just preserving the white of the paper. This is nothing applied in that white area, it's just paper. Masking fluid, if you don't know, is like a liquid latex that you have to apply to the paper at the very start of the portrait, let it fully dry, and then you peel it off at the end. I have many feelings about masking fluid, and I have ruined many paintings trying to get it to work for me. If you love it, great. I do not. Then we've got here some actual white watercolor. It works decent, but you compare it to something like gouache and it's just doesn't even compare. The gouache is super white bright. The main thing you want to really notice is what tone your paper is. Because if you're using a lot of white gouache, like these are two different tones. This is very white, bright, cool. To me, this is a bit warmer, this paper. And you'll see shortly in this stack of paintings where I tried to use gouache once to cover up a boo-boo and it just made it all the more obvious. Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed-proof white ink performs very similarly and also plays very well with water. So you can see there I've blended these two out. Oil pastel, pencils, gel pens, paint pens, chalk marker, acrylic ink. It's really going to depend on the exact type, the brand, whatnot. They work okay. Ink obviously looks great here, but there's lots of brush strokes there. These two are definitely my go-to if you want to apply something on top, or obviously these techniques for preserving the whitest white of the paper. So a benefit of white watercolor we haven't touched on yet is the ability to tint your colors. So if you love pastel colors, or you just need to create one, I personally love creating pinky pastel colors for things like cat noses, then having white in your kit and mixing that in with a color can be amazing. Here you can see I've used white, gray, and black to tint, tone, and shade colors just to give more variety to what we've got in our palette. Now, a lot of people will argue, well, if you need to use white to make something pastel, then you just don't know how to use watercolor. You should just add water and dilute it that way. Look, unfortunately, it's just not always the same. Sometimes what you need, and for me particularly with cat noses, I love the opacity of it. So simply diluting the color really doesn't help me. I do need to add some white to get some nicer pastel, muted, creamy colors. But another option, if you're finding that just too stark, too cold, is instead of using white, you can actually just use a different color like buff titanium. Titan buff comes in many different names. This is seashell from my handmade paint collection. So basically I took the primary colors here, mixed up some secondary colors, and then slowly started mixing in that seashell color to get some nice muted colors here. So you might find having something like a buff titanium on your palette is preferable to something so stark white, but again, it's going to depend on your need. I know I need the white watercolor to create bright highlights, so I'd rather just have that on my limited palette than start adding in everything else, but it's all personal preference. Here is an example where I have negatively painted part of a subject. So this white here, this is just paper that I've then gone and put some little purple shadows in, but I haven't painted that white. It's just the white of the paper. Here I've used lots of white for splashing. That is something to me that you just can't do at the start of the painting. Like I need to do that at the end with an old toothbrush or something like that, and it gives these fine flickers. I mix it in with some blue. To me, I just can't do that before. I need to use white for that. You can also use it for things like snow. This Robin tutorial is actually part of a course, Watercolor from Scratch, which will be launching soon on Paint Wild, so keep an eye out for that. But I love using it for things like snow, things like splashes. It's just the perfect way to end a piece. And then just a couple of little portraits that show like a very, very minimal use of white, but just really completes the portrait for me. So here, teeny tiny little highlights on the bear's eye. Yes, I could potentially mask them off at the start of the portrait, but they're so small, those eyes might have ended up going a little bit to the left or right, up or down, and then they would be in the wrong place. And now I'd have big bear eyes. I just prefer adding them on at the end. Here with a little grasshopper, I've just added some little shiny bits on part of its body towards the end. Again, I just would not feel comfortable placing them at the start. I feel like I'd mess up the proportions of everything. And teeny tiny little highlights here around the eyes. I like to highlight the bottom of the eyes in a soft way that blends out and then do harsh highlights at the top. And a couple little highlights on the beak as well. Here are a couple portraits where I've used a combination of, so little eyes with little highlights, but their teeth I've negatively painted around them and just went and add some little color or shading where necessary towards the end. Here we've got one of my favorite portraits, a little raccoon, and there's quite a lot of white gouache going on here. We've got big, beautiful eyes with highlights at the top, highlights at the bottom. We've got highlights on top of the nose, around the nostrils, near the mouth, and lots of whiskers as well. I then wanted to paint the eyes of this little guy again and mask them off at the start and then paint white gouache on at the end. I think you can definitely see here, well, I can anyway, sitting in front of me, that here with masking fluid and lifting off and comparing it to this one, this does look very kind of cool, or dare I say cold. I can definitely see a bluey tinge to this color here. When I look at the portrait as a total, as a whole like this, I don't notice it, but once compared, I can definitely see that this one looks warmer. I don't know if this is going to translate to camera or even if you care at all. It was okay when doing eyes that are large like this, but anything small like this, I think I would really struggle and I'd probably mess up the proportions. I'm often just tweaking the position of things in my portrait because it just doesn't translate well from a photo to a painting. I want to show you this little West Highland White Terrier that I've painted a couple of times. So this was the first time I painted it. I negatively painted around both of them, but I used so much white in this, and you can really see, you can see all these white strokes of fur. They're just very clearly added on at the end. It looks a little bit muddy. And then I wanted to try this again. Yes, I've made this darker and cooler toned with the bluey color versus this one doesn't have as much shading on there, but I really wanted to challenge myself to shade it and paint this white fur without using white paint. Here's my little boo-boo that I tried to fix up and just made it all the more worse. So unless you somehow have a white that perfectly matches with your paper, be cautious, be careful, it might not cover up mistakes, and it might just be glaringly obvious that it is not the white of the paper. Here is a little chocolate lint bunny that I painted many years ago, but I heavily relied on white here, and it's really quite obvious. And to me now, looking back at this, really feels like too much. It feels like I muddied that painting up quite a bit. Versus this one, this is actually using AI to create a chocolate bunny reference. This is one I think I painted last year. I don't even know, maybe I painted this year, who knows, what day is it? And I just used subtle little bits of scumbling very carefully, just kind of rubbing that color on there, which is just not something I would have been able to do underneath. A little bit more bolder and crisper around the eyes to give it some shape there, but also using techniques like lifting to bring back some highlights in that way as well. I think this one was from last year. This was an AI foil covered bunny, which by the way brought up some horrific, terrifying results when I was trying to create it. And again, just, I don't think I would have been able to do this with masking fluid or anything else. Like it's a very thick use of white, don't get me wrong. Definitely not something I'd use in a proper animal portrait, but for something that needed to be super shiny, it was perfect. And I don't think I could have achieved that underneath it all by preserving. And finally, they do make black watercolor paper. So you could actually paint with white on black watercolor paper. Here I inversed a zebra painting that I did years prior. It was very mind-bending, but I really enjoyed the challenge. And being watercolor paper and using white watercolor or even white gouache, you can use it all the same, just like you would colored paint on white paper. Nice soft blends and shading and highlights. So to wrap things up, can you use white paint in watercolor portraits? Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Art rules are there to be broken. They're a guide, but art should be fun, especially if you just do this for a hobby. Do whatever you like. I particularly lean towards anything that's going to make my painting experience easier and stress-free. And for me, that's popping highlights on at the end instead of having to work through a whole painting, preserving them from the start. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to talk about why you shouldn't use pre-made black colors in watercolor. I'll see you then.